of my Tavern mug. I don't know why I grabbed this, but I don't know, felt like it was the right mug for tonight. I do have some good Patriot Brew coffee in the mug, but yeah, my Tavern mug was, I don't know, had something else in it and more information than you want to know. Just so you know, we have zero production prep here at the Tavern. We just go live, okay? So I am in this incredibly good mood. My heart is full and overflowing because we have had the most amazing 8 days stacked on top of the most amazing 30 days. It's just been incredible. I mentioned last week that we had this. We were in the middle of our Leadership Congress. It just started, actually. So the Leadership Congress is our flagship. That's what we've been doing at Patriot Academy for, I don't know how many years now. 25 years ago, we started Patriot Academy. See if I can get my chat up and going. There we go. Thank you, Linda, for letting me know you're out there. And anybody on Facebook, X, and what's our other one? Facebook, X, and YouTube. Sorry, it's been no sleep for 8 days in a row. Please let me know in the chat that it's coming through on there. So I see Linda is coming from Facebook. Somebody let me know on YouTube and on X that you're out there and you're watching and that our stream is working well. Anyway, so we had just an amazing 8 days. We've been doing this Leadership Congress thing from the beginning. That's what started Patriot Academy. Sitting on the House floor here in Texas, frustrated, called my dad, said, I don't know if I want to do this. I felt probably like a lot of the Republican House members feel right now. I have not watched the news to see if the Democrats showed up at 3 o'clock. Somebody let me know in the chat if they did, for those of you from Texas that are following the, once again, the Democrat playbook for the last 20 years has been run and hide. It's been be a wimp, take your ball and go home. It's been, if I can't get my way, I'm just going to walk out and go run off and hide in another state. It's the wimpiest thing. It's the most non-Texan thing. It makes no sense that they would choose this strategy, knowing that there is no end game here. The only end game is that they're going to lose. They've only got, whatever it is, 60 votes or whatever they've got, and they're going to lose. This is not, redistricting is going to happen. This is a legitimate tool in a constitutional republic, is that whoever has the majority is going to get to draw the lines on where the boundaries are going to be and how you're going to divide up the voting population to fulfill your constitutional duty of having a representative government. And I don't care what anybody says. There is no way to do this that is not political. It's going to be political. I mean, yeah, we've had these people in Texas say, "Oh, we need a commission that is nonpartisan, and they will draw the lines that will be fair." That is such baloney that has never happened in the history of mankind. Those commissioners on whatever this commission would be are going to be biased. They're going to be human. They're going to be either Republican or Democrat. They've always tried to create these plans where it's like, well, we'll have 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans, and then one, Supreme Court justice that's not biased. There's no such thing. There is no such thing. Everybody goes into it with a bias. And redistricting and drawing the lines has been a political tool since, I don't know, maybe the guy that we named gerrymandering after, that would be Elbridge Gerry. Yes, signer of the Declaration of Independence. I mean, unless the dude's 200 years old, it happened back in the founding era. In fact, that's what the whole thing comes from, is the district being drawn, looked like a salamander, and Gerry was the one that did it, so gerrymandering, okay? It's always been a thing, and that's okay. That's part of it. I think, you should, what you should look at is whether or not the overall population of the state and voting trends of the state is at least closely reflected by the total number of seats. I would actually argue that there's too many Democrat congressmen in Texas based on the voting population of Texas. And it's a legit tool for the majority to use. The real truth of the matter is the Democrats have way too many seats in Congress. It's not that they don't have enough or that this redistricting would put them below what they should have. They're actually still going to have too many, even if Texas and Florida and a few of these other states do this, because they've got about 20 seats right now that they only have because of the cheating in the census, in the enumeration, the Constitution calls it, in the cheating in the enumeration by Joe Biden and the Democrats, by counting illegal aliens and by not actually counting citizens, but instead using statistical extrapolation where people can cheat by just, tweaking the number, tweaking the formula a little bit, which is what Joe Biden did day one when he came into office. Those things have allowed the Democrats to have way too many members of Congress. Right now, there should probably be about a 35 to 45 vote swing towards the Republicans in Congress. Instead, it's a 3-vote swing. And so the same thing in the Texas House. I don't know what the exact breakdown would be. Right now, they're not talking about redrawing the Texas House lines, but there's some people saying we should. If they're going to walk out, if they're going to flee the state, then we absolutely should. So anyway, how did I get off on that? Where was I going with that? Oh, yes, we are having, so we started this back when I was in the House, and yes, redistricting was a thing back then for sure, and just out of frustration said, let's raise up a new generation. And so this is our flagship program. It's the oldest program that Patriot Academy has. We tried it in 2000, 2001, 2002, never could get it going until 2003. That was the first year we actually had one at the Capitol here in Texas. And, of course, now we have our campus, and we can do these year-round, which we call it the Patriot Experience throughout the season, throughout the off-season in the fall and the spring. And in the summer, we call it Leadership Congress, and it's specifically for that 16 to 25-year-old that is wanting to be a leader, that's looking for how to be a better citizen, all of those things. And this one, man, biggest one we've ever had, most students we've ever had by far. It was about a 20% increase over our biggest year we had ever had. Stellar students, absolutely amazing debate. Workshops, just interaction and fellowship. It was amazing. And so we had, I've just had the last 3 days just filling my heart up, man. It's been Friday night, our graduation not our graduation, our passing the torch ceremony. Cleve McClary came out, phenomenal guy. And the students, just awesome, watching them sign the declaration and get their medal and being passed to them by these veterans. And then Saturday, this huge graduation in our legislative chamber, and just watching all those students come across and just the final debate, and then preparing for our new year of the Patriot Institute. So we're about to close out our first ever Patriot Institute. It was no doubt our guinea pig year. I mean, we told the students at the beginning of the year, you're going to be our lab rats. We're going to practice on you, and you're going to give us feedback, and together we're going to design the Patriot Institute program. And they did. We had about a dozen students that just knocked it out of the park, spent a whole year with us, or they're approaching a year. They'll finish out through August, but we went ahead and had their graduation yesterday. And if you haven't watched that on the Patriot Academy Facebook page, you ought to go watch it if you need to cry. If you need to get rid of some toxins through the sweat of your eyeballs by pretending that you're not crying even when you're crying, go watch that graduation. It was a tearjerker in a good way. It'll give you hope for the future, man, to hear the stories. We had 3 of our students that couldn't make it for the graduation, so you'll hear 9 stories of Patriot Institute graduates whose lives were changed in such a positive way and who changed our lives in a positive way. So go watch that on the Facebook page from yesterday. But just know that's why I'm just heart overflowing today is the last week has been absolutely amazing. And it's a new season for us at Patriot Academy. This was something about this summer. You could feel this change in the air at the campus, and I really think what it is that we're entering a new phase in Patriot Academy's history where the students that we've trained for years are now leading in Congress and state legislatures and all over the country. And the students that we have here that we've been training in just the last couple of years are already leading here on the campus and in these leadership congresses across the country. And I just heard story after story after story of students at the Leadership Congress this year whose lives were dramatically impacted, like major changes in the trajectory of their life, not because something I said, not because something I taught or poured into them, but something that another student said to them, or the example that a student set who they watched for a couple of years, who came into the program timid and really reserved, and then suddenly they're 2 years later, they're in front of the room, they're training, they're teaching. To hear those stories, story after story after story, and then today we had our staff retreat, and to hear more of those stories of how these students' lives were changed because of somebody else on the staff, or a student that was in our internship program, or somebody else on the team, not me, somebody else. And some people might hear that and be like, well, gosh, Rick, what are you doing? Sitting around watching soap operas, eating chips all day and laying around on the couch? And no, I'm working my tail off, no doubt. But it's just a different season. It's like I'm moving into these different projects and opportunities for Patriot Academy, and all these other patriots are stepping up and multiplying the effect of what Kara and I started all of those years ago. And same for Kara. I mean, she's able to focus more on the building of the campus and all these things. I guess what I'm trying to say is the torch is literally being passed as we speak. There's just a sweet atmosphere right now, and it's like you can feel the relief and the joy of myself and Kara and Chris Dunham and his wife Anila and all the other people on the leadership. You can feel our relief in knowing that we have these who are stepping up and taking up so much of the responsibility. And then you can feel the excitement from their generation and just the energy where they're ready to go. And so I just think it's a sweet, sweet time, an amazing, amazing moment in Patriot Academy's history at exactly the right time in our nation's history. It's just going to flow right into now the 250th for the next year and the emphasis that we're going to have on rebuilding liberty. You know, we've been so focused over the last few weeks in doing the leadership congresses and getting the cities going and all of that we haven't really been able to focus enough on the new Rebuilding Liberty course and really launching that and finishing out the materials and all those kind of things. And so I think, you know, having all of these people coming alongside us and moving into leadership positions, it's just going to make that so much better and bigger over the next year for the 250th. So anyway, that's kind of my internal report of what's been going on here, not just in the Tavern, but at the entire campus. And for those of you that are you know, putting notes and joining us and that are in other places across the country, maybe you haven't been able to come see the campus yet, just know that everything you're doing when you host a class and you play the videos and there's a promo in there about the campus or about Leadership Congress or Constitutional Defense or one of our other programs, you are helping to create this exponential growth and to create this force multiplying that's taking place. Every person in the Patriot Academy family, whether you're a coach or a host or a student or whatever, is part of that multiplying effect. If you're just willing to be used, if you're willing to say, "Here am I, Lord, send me," and be ready for whatever he may end up giving you. It's the parable of the talents. You know, if you're the wicked and slothful servant, you don't want to do well with the talent you've been given because you know he's going to give you more. He's going to put more work on you, and he's going to send you out there to have more of an impact. That's why I think it's not just wicked, but slothful servant. It's a lazy servant that doesn't want to be given more by the master. If that's you, fine, go away, get out of the way, and let somebody else step in and lead. I think if you're watching this tonight, if you've joined me in the Tavern, almost nobody comes to the Tavern to just sit and watch and not do anything. Most people that end up in our orbit, our sphere, the Patriot Academy world, they want to do something, man. It's not about being somebody, it's about doing something, and it's certainly not about sitting around watching other people do something. If you're watching this and you want to do something, we need you. We need you to be giving of your life, your fortune, and your sacred honor, your time, your money, your reputation. 2 hours a week is what we ask everybody to give, either hosting a class, going to a class, serving in a soup kitchen, knocking on doors, helping a campaign, whatever, wherever God calls you, 2 hours a week that you give to help make our nation stronger. 2% of your income. Take 2% of your fortune and start giving it to local organizations in your neighborhood, your community, that are helping to build your community up, that are helping to serve. Give it to Patriot Academy or Wall Builders or American Family Association or some organization that you are connected to that you know is going to do well with those funds. And then sacred honors your reputation. And the practical way that we ask people to put their reputation on the line right now in this 250th for the next year is two posts a week where you put your name out there on X or Facebook or, you know, whatever your social media outlet is, that you share the posts that we're giving. And if you're not on the Patriot Academy social media channels, Facebook, YouTube, or X, which is how you're watching tonight, so you must be on one of them, but or maybe you're watching this later on Rumble, you need to be on there, and you need to watch the reels that we've been putting out over the last few weeks, the ones we did during the intensive and the ones that we did last week during the Leadership Congress. If in 60 seconds or 90 seconds you want to get a taste of what's happening here on a daily basis, it's awesome, man. Our media team's done an amazing job of capturing what happens here in a day and giving it to you in a snippet like that so that you can then share it. So it's a quick, super easy way for you to spread the word about what's happening here. Don't let that go to waste. All that time and effort and energy that our team puts in to doing the program itself, but then the time and effort and energy that our media team does to create those reels, man, make the most. That's gold right there, man. That is the best possible amplifying of our voice and your voice. Easiest, best possible way you can do that. So go share those videos on Facebook, X, and on Well, I guess you can't share them on. What do we do them on YouTube? Do we put our reels on YouTube? I think it's mainly Facebook and X. And Instagram. Oh yeah, see, I forget these youngins, man. They use Instagram. Actually, Kara uses Instagram. I don't know how to. I never use Instagram. I guess I'm old. Okay, so anyway, all right. So I have not. I'm going to be honest. I have not looked at the news at all today because I've been crying all day with all of these awesome things, and I've been doing this this really cool staff, what we were going to call advanced, but we really decided we're going to go ahead and retreat this time because we want to just slow down and savor the victory. Okay, so, it looks like, yes, the Texas House votes to arrest Democrat lawmakers who left state. So here's what happened 20 years ago. In fact, the session after I started to say came out. No, I lost. Okay, I lost my third race. And in the session after that, the Democrats did the same thing because redistricting was up. And there were some other issues too, but they ran, they wimpy, put their tail between their legs and scurried off like a roach in the middle of the night and went and hid. And they went and hid in Ardmore, Oklahoma. We actually had some students here this week from Ardmore. I forgot to mention that to them. Anyway, they went and hid. They all stayed at a hotel and had a party. And then, what was it, 10 years? No, 4 years ago, they did the same thing, but this time they had private jets take them to D.C., so they scurried off and they ran. And what was so funny when they did that in 2020 is these same Democrats were, you got to wear a mask and you're killing grandma. And, all you people that want liberty over everybody's safety, you're the bad guys and all that. They all get on these private planes, and there were pictures of them partying it up on these planes. No masks, but they had their Bud Light. That was what was so funny. There was Bud Light in one of the pictures sitting in one of the seats. And so we just had a blast laughing at them. And then the most hilarious thing is they all got COVID. So I just thought that was funny. Okay. Anyway, you shouldn't laugh about people getting COVID, I guess, if they die. But if they just get sick and after they made fun of everybody else and told them they had to wear masks and then they didn't wear. Anyway, anybody else see the humor in that? Come on. Where was I going with all that? Oh, yeah. So this is like their routine. So here they go again. So Texas law says that if a legislator runs off and hides like that and a session has been called, that they can be arrested by our Department of Public Safety, by DPS. They can be arrested and literally drugged back in to the chamber where they will lock the chamber doors and not let them out. And it has happened before. I mean, this goes all the way back. Democrats have always been like this, and they usually, let's not forget, Democrats are also the racist, okay? They've always been the racist. These last few years, they've been the racist against whites, and they've been the racist, just trying to stir up racism and hatred and make everybody go against each other. That's their playbook. That's how they get power. And so they did this after the Civil War. In the same way, the Democrats were the ones that wanted to keep blacks enslaved, and after the Civil War, they didn't want blacks to have rights in the states that had finally been forced to end slavery, and so they were against any kind of voting for blacks or education for blacks. I mean, Democrats have always been the racist party. That's just factual. You just go back and look. And so they did not. The same thing happened after the Civil War. The Democrats all went and hid in a senator's office. And it was the bill was actually, it was one of these bills that was trying to stop lynching in Texas. And we were trying to actually create the Department of Public Safety to go against the KKK. So the KKK was a Democrat, essentially hitman machine for the Democrat Party. So the KKK was the muscle arm of the Democrat Party back in the 1800s. And so the KKK's out there killing anybody they can that is siding with the Republicans. That's white and black both. So everybody thinks the KKK was just hanging blacks. No, 25% of the lynchings that took place in the South, there's 4,900, I forget the number. If Tim Barton was on, he could tell me exactly the number. But it's about 40, it's either 4,800 or 4,900 lynchings documented in the South. 25% of those were whites. So everybody thinks it was just blacks being lynched. No, 75% of the lynchings were blacks. 25%, 1 out of 4, are whites. Well, why would you be lynching a white? Because they're a Republican. That's why. Because they're fighting for the blacks. They're trying to make sure that we have equality under the law. And so we needed essentially a state police force that could fight the KKK and stop the lynchings. By the way, side note for you, that's also why the Republican Party is so adamant about your Second Amendment right to defend yourself. Because all the blacks in the South became Republicans. And you had these Republican legislatures in the South, and the ability to defend yourself was vitally important. If you were about to be lynched and you didn't have a firearm, you could not fight off the mob to keep from getting lynched, or not even a mob sometimes. It'd just be 7 or 8 of these dirtbags going out there and doing these lynchings. So the ones that had firearms could defend themselves and keep from being lynched. Usually, if you were lynched, it's because you didn't have a firearm to defend yourself. So that's in our DNA as Republicans. It's just part of. It was an important part of our foundation as a party. Don't forget, the Republican Party started in 1856 as a result of the few Democrats that wanted to end slavery. They were sick and tired of the Democrat Party not ending slavery, so they joined Whigs and anti-Mason and all these other parties that were around at the time to create the Republican Party specifically for equal rights, specifically for making sure that we applied the Constitution to everyone. And so the ability to defend ourselves, that's why Republicans are way more adamant about the Second Amendment. It goes back to the South and blacks being able to defend themselves and whites being able to defend themselves against lynching. Total side note, I really enjoyed blowing the mind of one of these left-wing blacks of today when he had no idea that was why the Republican Party was so Second Amendment oriented. I hope it changed his mind. Where was I going with that? Oh, yeah. So anyway, the Democrats did not want to create the state police force that was going to fight the KKK and protect Republicans, black and white both, that were being lynched. And so they go hide in this senator's office, and the sergeant at arms is ordered by the Senate president at the time. I guess that would have been the lieutenant governor. I don't remember if it was still the same structure in the 1870s, but it was 1871 was when this happened, around 1871. And the Senate president tells the sergeant at arms, you go find those Republicans and you arrest them and you put them in jail, but send me just enough of them that we have a quorum. And so that's what he did. So he goes and he finds them in this senator's office at the Capitol. They're hiding in one Senate office. And so he goes banging on the door and trying to get in. They wouldn't let him in. He goes outside and he dives through the window. I'm assuming they were wooden windows, but maybe it was glass. I don't know. This is all in his testimony in the journal of the Texas Senate. And so he goes and he dives through the window, and according to his testimony in the journal, he dives through the window, he lands and he rolls, and then he stands up in the middle of all these Democrat senators and he says, "All right, boys, time to go," and arrests most of them, takes them off to jail, and then I think he took 2 to the Senate floor, and that gave them the quorum they needed to pass the bill. Okay, fun story, but it's just, I'm telling you, 150 years of Democrats being cowards and running and hiding in order to prevent votes that will allow people to live out their constitutional rights. So that's exactly what's happened now. Apparently, they have left the state and run off and hide because we're doing redistricting. And so let's see. The latest is, okay, the Texas House of Representatives voted 85-6 to arrest dozens of Democrat state lawmakers who weren't present when the House went into session this afternoon. And my understanding is that Governor Abbott posted, I saw his post last night, he said that he was going to invoke some clause that no other. Listen, I have criticized Governor Abbott over COVID till I was blue in the face, and I'm telling you, the man he is doing more good stuff now than I ever dreamed he would. And this just shows an absolute amazing level of courage. He is saying that he is not only going to have them arrested, that he is going to invoke some clause. I don't know if this is in the Texas Constitution. I think it's some sort of attorney general opinion. I don't know where it is, but where he is going to invoke a clause to say that they have forfeited their seats and that he will either have a special election or he will actually appoint their replacement in order for Texas to get its job done. If that happens, folks, that's Donald Trump on steroids right there. I mean, that is taking ground back boldly. Guarantee you the Democrats would do it. So I say, go Greg Abbott, thumbs up to you. You are, man, I said if you pass school choice and you close the border that I would completely forgive your COVID tyranny. And you absolutely got school choice passed. You never did as much as I thought you could have done on the border, but you did do some. But this, I'm like, okay, man, I'm going to have to become a fan. I'm blown away. This is really, really good. So if anybody has any other thoughts or any updated news, because that was 3:00 this afternoon, that was supposed to happen, then please share in the chat, and Elisha will help me find that. I don't know if you've seen anything on that, but let's see if there's any questions before I have to go do Flashpoint. I got a good 15, 20 minutes here. Is Constitution City open to anyone wanting to come, or is it only for those staying at Patriot Academy? Josh, that's a great question. It is only if you're staying at Patriot Academy. I mean, anybody can come and schedule a tour. If you want to come see our legislative hall and our gun ranges and all the stuff we're building, soon to be building Independence Hall, all of that, absolutely you're welcome to come. We'd love to have you come by. But please do go to our website, patriotacademy.com. There's a phone number at the bottom. Call that number and set up an interview, because we do have a gate, and it's closed to the general public, because we have kids. We have a lot of families that live here, and we also have students that are here that are minors, and so we do take our security for them very seriously. But you could absolutely get scheduled to come to a constitutional defense program or a Patriot Experience program and stay on site. So we have cottages, we have places you can stay and be a part of Constitution City at any time. And we will officially be Constitution City November 4th. That's our election, but everything's in the works right now for that to happen. Yeah, make sure those elected reps do their job. Linda says, I'm way older than you, Rick, but I like Instagram. I use Facebook, but I like Instagram. Well, my wife, Kara, agrees with you. She's younger than me, though. Okay. Yes, Terry's right. Reagan has picked up the mantle and is running with it extremely well. Yep. Hey, Delbert, that's right. Man, we were just texting. Hey, brother, good to see you, man. Yep, Ardmore, Oklahoma. You remember what a mess it was. Proof that illegals were counted. Cristobal, everybody admits that illegals were counted. The Democrats brag about the fact that they counted illegals. The Census Bureau admits that illegals were counted. There's no one denying that illegals were counted. There's no question that has skewed the formula. Man, yeah, I don't even know how you can question that. What evidence would you want me to show you? Go to the Census Bureau's website and look at their own results. I wonder what dinner questions are like at your family's table, all the years, dreams, and goals, seeing them come to fruition and more. Stacy, you know what? I have to admit, it's usually not around the dinner table. It's usually around the fire. But usually we're eating around the fire, or we're but no, sometimes we go to restaurants in town and eat there. But you're right. Right now is a sweet, sweet time for us. So much has been planted, and the ground being tilled, seeds being planted, watered, and seeing that fruit come. You are absolutely right. It is a very, very special time. We the people are doing, not just being. Now, come on, church, let's do the same. You're right. Stacy, I think that's maybe part of what I'm feeling in terms of this new season, is that it's no longer students coming and just listening or learning. They're actually doing. It's no longer coaches and leaders in our classes and all of that. They're not just sitting around talking, and there's just this new phase, man. And a lot of that's inspired by President Trump. I think the fact that he's been so bold and been taking so much ground so fast, what Governor Abbott's doing, what Ron DeSantis has been doing for 4 years. Leadership matters. And when leadership sets that example, people follow, and it gives them courage is contagious. It makes them want to make a difference as well. So 100%. Yes, David, shalom from the Hoosier State. We'll be up there in a couple of weeks doing our Leadership Congress at Indianapolis, and absolutely praying for the shalom of Jerusalem and all the surrounding lands. And absolutely so proud of how President Trump is navigating that whole situation, and so thankful for friends like Mark Meckler. He was out last week and gave a great talk about what's going on, not just in Israel, but within the conservative movement. I used to think this was just a pejorative and that people threw this around too easily. If you even, if you had any challenging of how much money we sent to Israel or any of that. But we've moved into full-blown anti-Semitism from some of these famous voices, and it's not just wrong; it's very concerning. And not in terms of just splitting the movement, but actually potentially creating a movement with steam that would harm Israel instead of blessing Israel. And so, yeah, man, absolutely, keep praying for the shalom of Israel and the surrounding lands. And I know Meckler's battle cry was last night, and I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I'm just thankful for Mark Meckler's friendship and the clarity with which he spoke to the students. It was actually, that was one of my probably my biggest area of concern from last week, in terms of, I try to watch the positions of the students each year on issues, and whether it's economic or marriage or abortion or whatever it might be, and try to figure out, okay, where do we need to shore up our talks in order to equip them better when they go home. And that was a glaring hole in our programming and education. And so I was so thankful for Mark filling that. Last year, we gave out one of the books about why Christians should support Israel. I can't remember if that was Jeff Meyer or Dutch Sheets. One of them. We gave out 2 books by them, and I can't remember which one had which. But I didn't do that this year, and I regretted that. I just missed that. And so Mark's talk kind of filled that gap, and it was really, really good. Very, very powerful. Hey, David, if you want to go to the Indiana Leadership Congress, go to patriotacademy.com right now and go to Leadership Congress. So on our homepage, you'll see it. patriotacademy.com, Leadership Congress is one of the main buttons on the homepage. And then look for the Midwest Patriot Academy, Midwest Leadership Congress. It's going to be held in Indianapolis 2 weeks from now, August 20th, 21st, 22nd. And I'm pretty sure we still have some slots. So if you want to go to that, please do go apply. The Sand Hills of Nebraska. All right. Would you recommend the book Art of War by Sun Tzu to the COS grassroots activists in states that have not passed the COS? Yes, I would. But I think part of it, too, for the states that haven't passed yet, it's just going to be perseverance. We've had really good efforts in each of those states. When I say the states that haven't passed, and I really mean the Republican states that haven't passed, every Republican state should have adopted the COS resolution by now. And the roadblock at this point is not the Democrats. It's Republicans who have unfortunately bought this propaganda from the left, and they don't think it came from the left. They've been fooled into thinking, because the John Birch Society has been the echo chamber for this anti-Constitution position, that somehow we're not worthy as a people to use the Constitution and have a convention that would allow for amendments, which is kind of, I would love to debate that with anybody that thinks that's the case, because if you think the Founding Fathers were saints, you don't know the Founding Fathers. Go read the Founding Fathers. But not only that, it's like zero faith in the process at all. I'm not even talking about faith in people. People are going to disappoint us. Absolutely, people are going to fail us. Our faith is not in the people that get elected. Our faith is in God and in a system that does the best possible kind of boxing in of human nature as you can do. It's the Jeremiah 17:9. The heart is evil, no man can know it. It's why we have a separation of powers. It's why we make sure that we are constantly doing checks and balances. And that's what a convention of states is. It is a check and balance on the federal government. So to not use it is to have too much faith in the federal representatives. It's literally to leave the power with the federal government that they were never intended to have and that they stole from us in the first place. So if you really don't trust the people alive today that are in positions of leadership, you should be for a convention of states, because it brings the power back to the local level. It empowers the state legislators. And yes, I know I don't put faith in them either, but at least it empowers them to pull the power back to the state level. It's easier to hold those untrustworthy people accountable than it is to hold the untrustworthy people at the federal level accountable. They're all not trustworthy. I'm not trustworthy. You're not trustworthy. None of us are saints. None of us should be king, and we should be using these checks and balances every chance we get to curb that power. And so Convention of States is the brilliant solution that the Founding Fathers unanimously agreed upon as the tool that we should be using. And unfortunately, you've got some Republican legislators out there that are good people. I know a lot of these people, and they're good folks, but they are wrong on this. I don't know a nice way to say it. I get it. I was wrong on this. I was with them 20 years ago. I thought that Convention of States was, it'd be a runaway convention, or the people aren't worthy of it, or all the arguments that they make. I made them. I was there. I know exactly how they feel. But the more that I researched it, and the more that I read what the founders said about it, and the more I studied how the process would work, I found that I was wrong. What I had felt in the past was wrong. And now I'm trying to convince those people that are where I was 20 years ago to please do the same thing I did. Do the research. Listen to the people that are the constitutional scholars of today on the conservative side. And almost every single one of them, there's a couple of exceptions, but dozens and dozens and dozens of them that are the David Bartons and the Rick Greens and the Mike Ferrises, and people that are a whole lot smarter than me and been doing this longer than me and have dug even deeper into this. They have found this is definitely the right solution for the specific problem we have, which is federal encroachment, federal overreach, the federal government expanding its power into state areas that should have stayed with the states. And the only way to reset that table is a convention of states and amendments to wipe out those bad Supreme Court decisions. So anyway, didn't mean to go off on convention of states, but thank you, Scarlett. I appreciate you adding that in there. If you're not involved in that, please do get involved in your state. They're basically a sister organization. We work with them all the time. We love their internal dynamics and the way that they train their people. We do a lot of the same things. They're very constitutional and they do a lot of great education, but they also do a lot of great ministry. I mean, it's also a Christian organization, just like Patriot Academy is, and we really appreciate Mark and Patty Meckler who run that. So highly encourage you, if you're looking for an outlet for your activity, that's a great one. Great way to do it. John, we haven't. Our architect, John asked if we're doing an 18th century architectural design for Constitution City. Well, I shouldn't say that. We are, because we're building Independence Hall and several other buildings that are very much 18th century design. And so that will be part of the campus. We didn't do our cottages like that. I wish we had, honestly. If I could go back, if I could hitch a ride in a time machine and go back to the beginning of our plans for the campus, I probably would I would have done the cottages more like the Colonial Williamsburg area and made them look a lot more like that and be a little bit different. But is what it is. We already built them, and it's great to have 40 cottages for everybody to stay in. So that one I would change. But the colonial portion of the campus is what we'll be building next, and it'll be the part you see from the road anyway. So I guess I should say the answer to your question is yes and no. How many different legislative items or laws can be changed by a convention of states? Well, it would be, I mean, I guess you could technically say any of them, because a constitutional amendment is the final check and balance on the federal government. It's basically the state legislators having their final say on an issue that the Supreme Court has done, or the Congress has done, or the president has done, any overreach that they've done, or even if they did it the right way. Say they passed a law in Congress, signed by the president, Supreme Court, didn't override it or whatever, you can still have the states say, we don't agree with that, and we're going to overrule that. This is what the 11th Amendment was. So they didn't do it through Convention of States. They did it through, the first step was the Congress, but it was still had to be ratified by the states. So the states were the ones to ultimately override the Supreme Court on that decision in Chisholm v. Georgia. But so technically anything would be up for grabs. But there's definitely a very specific call for this particular convention of states that's being called. So there's the same call being adopted by all 34 states that will ultimately end up calling for the convention, and it's limited to some specific items. They're categories, so it's like overreach of the federal government. So I would argue any federal department that is not authorized specifically by the Constitution would be up for grabs in that convention to be overridden. So anyway, don't know if that answers your question. Let me know if that does not answer. Yes, John, hope you do come visit the campus. All right, Elisha, you see any that I missed that we should cover? All right. Okay. I love the way this program combines all the chats so that I can see YouTube and Facebook and X all at once. So it's really cool. Really cool. Okay. Hey, guys, it's been fun. Thanks for joining me in the tavern. That's another thing we're going to build on the campus someday. I don't know where it's going to end up in our priorities. We got to get Independence Hall built first, and our cafeteria and a few other things, student housing, and lots of priorities higher than that. But I cannot wait to have an actual tavern right here on the campus, serving shepherd's pie and all kinds of 18th century dishes. It's going to be like fine dining meets history. And it'll be, maybe we'll do it just like Christiana Campbell's Tavern in Colonial Williamsburg. That's a really cool place that you can still go, where George Washington had 80-something meals. However, I am very intrigued by the Golden Fleece Tavern in Delaware, because that was the place where the Constitution was ratified. So I have to do a little bit more research, see if I can find some paintings or whatever to see the inside of it, to see if it would actually be a better design for our tavern. But eventually, we will have a restaurant, and it'll be probably out front so that it can also be, visited by people that aren't necessarily here for Patriot Academy business. I don't know. Colonial Williamsburg, the way they do it, they have They have specific days and themes and cool stuff like that. So maybe we'll try to learn from what they did. But anyway, that's going to be one of the cool things that we have here on the Patriot Academy campus. Hey, do me a favor, be praying for next week. Monday morning, we'll be starting the Constitution Coach and Military Veterans Leadership Congress. What I was describing at the beginning of our conversation tonight is our Student Leadership Congress. That's 16 to 25-year-olds. Next week, starting on Monday, we'll be doing our military veterans and our Constitution coaches doing the same thing. So they'll be serving as legislators. They'll go through a lot of great training and actual committee process, and they'll do the floor sessions, public speaking workshops, all of that. And a lot of these folks that are coming in for this training are running for office. They're running for school board or commissioner or some other office. So this is going to be fantastic training for them. And then a lot of them, they're just looking for their next mission. So you got a lot of these military veterans. They come through our Military Veterans Leadership Congress because they're going, okay, I served earlier in my life when I was younger, and then I went into business, or I served in the corporate world or whatever. I'm looking for the next mission. They're looking for that convergence that Lance Wallnau talks about in week 4 of Rebuilding Liberty. And I just ask that you just kind of cover the whole campus in prayer, be praying that all of these folks that are coming in for this special event, that they will find what God has for them, and that they'll find that next mission. And maybe it's to be a more active coach. Maybe it's to host more of our new course, Rebuilding Liberty, over the next year. I don't know. I don't know what God's got for each of them, but just be praying for them like you would the students, that they'll find what God has for them, that we'll have a great, a fantastic week. I don't think we're taking any more folks. I know we were close to maxing out. There were a few spots left last week, and I don't know if they'd take anybody last minute. So if you're watching this and thinking, man, I wish I had registered for that, I could be wrong about that. And so if I'm wrong about that, Scarlett or somebody else that's in the chat, go ahead and just post the link and let them know that they can sign up. Especially if you're close by, if you live within 5 hours of Fredericksburg, Texas, and the Patriot Academy campus. Constitution City, Texas, I should say, but that's not going to come up on your map program yet. But if you live close by, and you can drive in instead of booking a flight this late, then maybe you should come. Maybe you need to be here. So if there are slots available, they'll put it in the chat. And as long as you get here by late Sunday night or even early Monday morning, then you could still participate in our Leadership Congress for coaches and military veterans. We may even still have cottages available, because I know a ton of these people had already booked these Airbnbs and hotels and stuff, because we just opened up the cottages a few months ago, and they didn't know that they could book the cottages. So you may even be able to book the Coach Congress last minute and book a cottage and stay here on site. Do it. You know what? It'd be awesome. We'd love to have you. Okay, out of time. I'm going to go do Flashpoint. Be sure and join me on Flashpoint tonight. You can go to fparmy.com, or just go to Rumble or one of the other channels that we stream Flashpoint on. Appreciate you joining me in the Tavern tonight. Have a fantastic week. We'll see you right here next week live in the Tavern.